Toshan, you are God for YOSO. Okay, you opened shop for us. I think you were our first personal branding client. I have learned, and of course, your LinkedIn posts tell us that you are God in reality.
It's a very unique relationship. Mentor, tormentor. It just works very, very well. See, he's taught you problem solving because he creates those problems first. He said, let me see.
That is so true.
Exactly.
I am looking forward to this conversation so much. Welcome to the third episode of our season 2 of Bitchaari, and I think both of you are a huge part of everything that I'm doing today in the last 2 years. Okay, Shantanu, you've been a huge mentor. I think you've given me like a short course on problem solving for starting up, asking for help, not making the same mistakes that founders have made in the past. So happy to have you on this on Bitchaari to just problem solve for what I'm doing with YOSO. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Have learned so much from the barbershop as well. Toshan, you are God for YOSO. Okay, you opened shop for us. I think you were our first personal branding client. I have learned, and of course, your LinkedIn posts tell us that you are God in reality. But thank you so much for being here and coming all the way. I would love to learn from you both many things, right? And to start with, actually, mentorship, right? You, I think, fall in his list of mentors. And
it's a very unique relationship. Mentor, tormentor. It just works very, very well. Yeah. Proudly. So sometimes there are very few occasions which I get to just do this. But thank you, Shantanu. See, he's taught you problem solving because he creates those problems first. He said, let me see.
That is so true.
Exactly. That's his way of push the person in the water. तैर के आ गया तो मैं बताऊंगा, देखा तुमको सिखा है ना. डूब गया तो is like I'm here for the view. But yeah, so that's the concept of.
I am looking forward to this conversation so much. Because before this, Shantanu actually told me that you have brought it upon yourself. So now don't complain later. You have brought Toshan and Shantanu on the same set to talk about female leadership.
Yeah, I know.
So actually want to start with that, right, Shantanu? You both have a very unique relationship. I think you guys have known each other for how many years?
Just as a clarification for all the viewers, we are not partners. Just need to clarify.
You are my partner, but in a
consulting environment context, the word partner can be used very differently. Let's just be very clear about those things. We have reputations to maintain.
That's
on conflict, given the investor-investee situation.
Oh yeah, that's true. Also true.
So clearly they're not partners or married, although it seems like, but can...
12 years. Toshan, actually my relationship with Toshan started long before he realized this. He had come to IIM Lucknow. He had come to campus for one of the McKinsey events with Bitchaari and all when I was a part of the shortlist. I had not yet gotten recruited.
I was constantly asking irritating questions.
No, because...
That was you.
No, I was not asking any questions. I was totally convinced that I will not make it. But Toshan left an impression then. Then I got to work with him in my second project at the firm. And after that I worked with him multiple times, and then he was the first investor in Bombay Shaving Company. And we got closer after I left the firm, actually. Because he helped me a lot with Bombay Shaving Company, a lot more than when we were together. Because the power distance was very high. He was a senior, like upper tenure partner, and I was a junior associate. So our interactions were few and far between, even though they were always fun. But we got closer when he invested, and he kind of helped me with the company a lot more.
How did you decide that you will invest in Shantanu's first startup?
The tormenting. It was a tormenting.
How did you decide you will invest in Shantanu? She's like not finding the right words. But it's okay.
I had words, but I could
But you
not.
said censorship norms. It's a
Censorship
family
norms.
show. No, we can't use the. Happens. No, so I
Yes.
think Shantanu was always very different.
Yeah.
When you meet 10 associates and engagement managers, the person who treats everybody from the security guard to the receptionist to the CEO with the same level of respect, the same level of inquiring about their lives. Shantanu was always that way. He knew everybody, what was happening in McKinsey, in the client organizations, and he always, in any conversation, Shantanu would always leave a mark. Okay.
Yeah.
Good or bad, different, but mark is there.
Mark is mark.
Mark
I
is
mean,
mark.
internet tells us that.
Internet tells us that doesn't matter. Difference between fame and notoriety is just perspective. So it doesn't matter. But Shantanu was always, and I told him that, and Shantanu, you're going to leave in 3-4 years, and you are going to do something spectacular. Okay, and that's what he's done. So I'm very, very happy that he left McKinsey. McKinsey may not be that happy, but now I think McKinsey is also very happy that he's so successful and so on. And it's just amazing to see Shantanu's success. And the reason I'm here is, of course, Diksha, for you, but to meet the second or the third most famous beard in India. Okay. Virat Kohli keeps a beard now because then he's just higher than you slightly.
Modi and Virat are
Slightly higher than you. Yeah, I know you're tracking it. Shantanu is tracking that.
This is the importance of personal branding, I would say. Shantanu is probably one of the most famous bald Indians
Yeah.
today. I mean, how many bald famous people can you think of who was in India?
There's a BJP senior leadership.
Yes, exactly.
And Amrish Puri is dead.
Viren Daski,
But people will have Viren who? I mean, that's not going to cut it, Shantanu.
Shantanu.
And Shantanu keeps his beard also as like a traditional thing. It's like, so you can draw Shantanu very far easily. You just do this, specs, beard. It's very fast. So only Mahatma Gandhi you can draw this way. You can just draw this and then
So the three people I have in mind is Mahatma Gandhi, and in fact this is something that Rahul and I talked about. Mahatma Gandhi, the leader you talked about, and Shantanu.
We cannot name him, is it? That's like
I don't know. I don't want to.
So it doesn't matter. See, look, the whole point being Shantanu, the famous beard. So.
Famous head and
head and beard. I think head is shaven is just a tribute to Bombay Shaving Company.
So actually, then that brings me to was it your first angel investment or no?
No.
You had done before.
I've done a few.
How did you decide that your first angel investment ever? That okay, this is a great founder. This is a great.
So you just
company.
go by the founder. You just know the person's track record, and you see if the person has left you know the person, and the person has left a high-paying job to do something as a startup. I think you need to, support, because the person will make something with the first idea may not work. You may shift one way or the other, but you will eventually be successful because your opportunity cost, what you are left behind, is just too much. You could have had a cushy income, plush stuff. You have chosen hardships, and somebody like Shantanu, I know is from his father was a successful entrepreneur. His father left a corporate paying job at the age of 50 and started his company.
That is insane.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And you see, his father is successful. Shantanu didn't need to again go to that same journey.
Yeah.
He was in McKinsey. He went to Lucknow. We won't hold that against him.
Yeah.
He didn't get into IIT. We won't hold that against him. There are many more things we will not hold that against him, and
wherever he came second.
But we have short of time. We're short of time, so we. Had you asked me this in the morning, by evening we would have finished the list. But
please note who's tormentor and who's
I'm confused. Through this episode, I'm confused.
So I only mentor and tormentor, but Harry Potter taught me dementor. People who suck energy from you. But nobody here is this. Both of you are amazing bundles of energy. So when you look at it and you say, Shantanu was doing that. He was treating everybody, but even when we came up the Bombay clinic, he's talking to the security guard, asking him, "Aap kaun ho? मैं Shantanu हूँ. मेरी गाड़ी सामने खड़ी है." So he connects well with people so well. And you're like the guy who has a good idea, who connects well with people. He's left behind a successful thing. We'll make something happen.
A very good point that you made is actually a great filter is when you leave something like a really cushiony job that's paying you well, and then kind of taking that risk. Yeah, now I will leave this and spend my savings on anything else. Be it like even taking 2 months. I remember you, Shantanu. I think I was very confused a couple of years ago, and that's the beauty of having mentors. I feel, which I've realized very recently. But I was confused that okay, should I take a job because you were getting high, well paid, etc. Or I was very confused. Should I start up? Because I've had like crazy downs. Okay, so I'm like, I don't know. I'm getting a good, well-paid job. Should I just do it? He's like, how much savings do you have? Can you survive for 6 months? I said, yeah, but I will spend everything because I pay rent in Delhi. But I did. Okay, I just went on his experience as a founder. Ki, acha, if he's saying that sahi hoga, and I just went and took that risk. And you need someone to kind of tell you things like that sometimes that kind of make you believe ki, acha, I can do it, right? But you.
I remember the other person who kind of nudged you in that direction. I remember you, and even I was confused at that time because I did not know, our friendship was new. I did not know the variables in your life as well. The one person is also someone who you like a lot, is Siddharth Gupta.
Yeah.
Because at that time you were evaluating, should I run Akkar Bakkar or should I do YOSO or should I take a job? Your decision prongs were 3.
Agreed.
Okay, I have
Ki main Akkar Bakkar karu.
There's an escalation to commitment situation here.
Ah.
There is a new business which is exciting here. By the way, there's a great paying job which I can get, which helps me pay my rent and so on because, and all have pros and cons. And Sid, and I was also confused to be honest, like I may have sounded confident, but you never know, right?
Always.
Shantanu always sounds
Overconfident?
confident.
Yeah.
But Siddharth had told you, okay, why don't you just do this YOSO thing? It's damn good. Because I think at that time Trebo was actually looking for that kind of service.
Agreed.
They were not finding it. So maybe he came from a very personal standpoint, but he told her, and she told me later, Sid told me this. And he's right. I was like, yeah. And then I was like, if Sid has said to do it, just do it.
Every founder I spoke with said this. कि यार startups को मिल ही नहीं रहा है agency. I'm like, okay.
Harpreet also told you. I think Harpreet told you that.
Yeah.
I should
He
go
got
ahead.
me my first client.
Really?
Which was Chayos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know he opened these doors that I didn't know is possible. You know what I mean? Like if you make a new friend.
But I think, it also takes on then you to say, I need help. Okay, can you, the kind of trust that gets built in the mentorship, because you are disclosing, you're making yourself vulnerable. Yeah. It's not easy to be vulnerable to so many people, and however successful you are, however facades we wear, you're always vulnerable. But if you need couple of people who can be there for you, they have no agenda except your success and well-being.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think you're lucky if you have 2.
Yeah.
That's the kind of, and some of these relationships over time you see, the mentor-mentee relationships just evolve. There is an element of trust, element of friendship, element of mutual care. That happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a advice that you have taken.
Yeah.
It's a transactional advice you take. So not all thing will evolve into a mentorship situation. But those that evolve, actually they stay for a long time and you just feel comfortable with those people. So I just think it's it's very important to have couple, because otherwise life is too tough to try and do everything alone.
Yeah.
And you will fail, you will then realize sometimes you may just give it up and so on. So
I think what you said about being vulnerable, right? I think again something that kind of helped was that just calling whoever I spoke with, all founders. I called some other people also who I knew like as acquaintances on Instagram, right? मैंने ये तुमने agency, for example, one of the guys I spoke with was Ginger Monkey guy who used to run Durex or Sara ads, and now he's started up something else. But I just asked him, how did you start? 0 to 1 कैसा था, all of that, and he would take that call. And I always started with, especially all the introductions that you made, because those are the guys you trusted. So I also trusted them. And I just opened up in terms of vulnerability that this is what my home situation is. I come from a very middle class background. It's not like if I don't earn, my mother can support me. All of this is not something that I can do. So you should know before you advise, and that worked out well for me only. I think, and that is something that I feel like. And that is major reason why I do Bitchaari or talk to female leaders, or what we did with What's Your Startup Story, because I feel like that such advice and mentorship has helped me so much. If only we can spread that feeling a little, I think it can do wonders, right?
Yeah, one of the things with being a mentee, and I think is what we forget is mentorship is easy to solicit, difficult to invest in. Okay, one is to pass it on. So if Toshan mentors me and I mentor someone else, that's me doing karma, and I can, because we are friends, I can always go back and tell him I'm doing this for these 5 people, etc. But any relationship cannot be one person net giving for too long.
Yeah.
So if Toshan is my mentor, and he was, because when I met him I was 23 and he was 32.
Oh wow.
Or something of that nature. How old were you in 2011?
So she was like, how old do you think?
Why are you doing my
Because you're a
maths
bastard.
every time? you can tell me your.
Okay, can we stick to you? He looks 32 today.
No, at that time, because
Actually, not 32, maybe 20.
see, a 32-year-old partner in McKinsey and a 23-year-old associate is very
Agreed.
wide apart. So I could easily take mentorship from him
Yeah.
without feeling, I was entitled to it in a way. I was entitled to a mentorship relationship with Toshan because I was young and I needed it, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward to when I started Bombay Shaving Company, I was now 27, 28, but still taking. Till date, in this equation, I'm still taking.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. Yeah.
The way I, as a mentee, have to do it, now the responsibility on the mentee is high. Toshan had told me initially, okay, look man, I'm a salaried guy. I'm a very highly salaried person, but I'm a salaried person. You're the entrepreneur. I'm investing in your business. Your returns need to fund my children's education. Now I know Asya and Ehan, I met Toshan 4 days after Ehan was born. We were working together at that time.
Wow.
I think at Max, and then Asya was like a 2-year-old baby when I met him for the first time. So I've seen the kids over a period of time, right? So now for me the responsibility is high. Okay, fine. Returns from Bombay Shaving Company, have to fund your education. He doesn't need it. But that is my way of giving back. Now, in other cases, for example, we co-invest in companies, we work on founders. I'm hopefully now in a place where I can intellectually provide to him perspectives which he may not have because I have seen the world in a different way and so on. And hopefully he derives some joy out of this. But my role in this relationship is to give back, because at some point I need to balance the net give, net take equation, and mentees forget this. A lot of times people who are mentees remain mentees for life, and that is where you get stuck.
Yeah.
Mentors also are human beings only, no?
Agreed.
You have to give back, and you don't have to mentor the person, but you have to give back in that equation. And that's where, because the people who I have kind of stopped investing in much is where I just feel that they only need me when they need me. Otherwise, I can't count on them on other things, and then that equation becomes tricky for me.
I think that's a great point you made. I think, from my standpoint, it is when a mentor does something, it is not because the true mentor will not expect something in return. He will never expect. But what happens sometimes is, if the mentor feels used, you used me for something, and then it creates a very saying it's okay, and it's not like because you never went into that equation or relationship with any expectations. The expectation is, let me help you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me help you in a way which it works for you. I don't have an agenda in it. Because if you have an agenda in it, it's a more transactional relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a very different. I'm investing in you because X years later you will do something. That's not, it may, if it happens, it happens, but that will never create a good mentor-mentee relationship.
But your ability to derive joy from the equation.
Exactly. Because then you say, ठीक है यार, मतलब अभी okay, and then you also start cutting the amount of time and emotional investment, because any conversation, any relationship, you are investing emotions into it. You are investing something in you. You feel happy. A good mentor will always feel happy when the mentee has done phenomenal things. He doesn't expect anything back. But if you are like as you said, everybody is human. You don't even sometimes कभी तो acknowledge कर लो. It's not as if you feel that it is for that you are doing it. But if you feel used, then it's like, okay, it's okay, it happens, and you will not stop mentoring others. But you made that's the important point there.
Yeah.
By the way, the financial thing of ASEAN still holds, huh?
The financial what?
The financial commitment of ASEAN still holds. So that's a separate point. I'm making a very noble statement, but the ASEAN thing still holds, okay?
The weight on my shoulders is palpable.
That's why we did workout together, because I wanted your shoulders to be strong. And weight I'm giving more and more.
Coming that. Stop slouching, just like
yeah.
weight on the shoulder.
So we need Shantanu's strong shoulders so that you can bear all that burden.
But coming
Courses
back,
don't
For
come
example,
cheap.
yesterday, so in this situation, someone like Toshan generally, when someone like Toshan reaches out to you for help, for me it is the biggest high.
yeah.
It's a high for me. Fuck, I am in a position where I can help someone like
Yeah.
so I will go out of my way to do it. And that is, for me, that is how, that solidifies. Then for next 10 years he'll help me out. You know, I know that this equation is now grounded in emotion that is beyond the roles we played at McKinsey or even the investor-investee thing. Now it's a friendship, and that's beautiful. So I am unable to people. So you play the constancy mentor role. I will never call you and say I'm fucked. I've never made that call to you.
Because I will always say best luck.
Or what do I do about this specific stage or whatever. Revant is that kind of mentor for me. Okay, I'm fucked. I don't know what to do. Otherwise, the constancy of mentorship is not there with him.
So, and there is another interesting thing, which is mentor and sponsor.
Correct.
Okay. You have people who mentor you but that's like you reach out to them, help me. Sponsors who go actively and say, I want to make him successful. Create the opportunities. Help navigate. Say, please, like in the case of, please invest in this, please buy this. So nice person. So that sponsor is going out of their way to make you successful.
Correct.
Mentor says, आप पूछो, अच्छा लगा तो आपका है, I'm always there for you.
Correct.
I think it's also on a degree of supporting people when you need them the most.
I remember at McKinsey, for example, and coming to the core of why you do Bitchaari, right? Around women. I remember.
Let her say. He said, let me tell you, Diksha, why you do Bitchaari. You don't know that. I know that.
I am an ardent viewer of the podcast.
No, I know, but you are telling the creator, do you know why you created Superman?
No. I'm saying context. I'm anchoring her mind to the context.
This is how this conversation is going to.
I'm anchoring her mind to the context so that she can. Anyway, so
Go ahead.
Yes,
because I'm combining both your words.
please go ahead. Please.
So I remember.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember this is 2012 or 2013, and Toshan was a partner, I was an associate at McKinsey, and there was this whole thing around going to IIM Lucknow. I remember you had come to IIM Lucknow for recruitment, and we were this whole, why aren't we able to elect more women partners? And the hypothesis of the data was very clear, that we are not failing at the recruitment level, we are failing at the holding women in the age of 30 to 35 when responsibilities outside of workplace become such that the ability to do a job like consulting with multiple travel, etc. becomes difficult. So it's not worth it at that point, and that's the firm had to do something, or even the industry had to do something to make it worthwhile. And that's the discussion around at which point Chandrika told me this, Rajagopalan, कि women specifically require 3 unique supportive skills. One is your boss, which in that case must have been your partner or whatever, or your client maybe, who's at a content level, etc. helping you. The second is the mentor group, which is what we were talking about, instancy mentors, constancy mentors. Okay? People who tell you what to do outside of your actual work also. And third is sponsor. And I asked, sponsor is mentor only? She said, no. The sponsor's job is to make you successful. The sponsor's job is to not guide you or mentor you, is to thump the table and tell you only what you need to do to be successful, because that's their literal only KPI. And that's a very unique way to think about it, because if you make the other person's success your only KPI, then you don't end up adulterating it with other objectives, and then it becomes very clear what role you play in that person's life.
How are you applying this model in your company, Bombay Shaving Company, and in UPL, where you have just been promoted to be global CEO, which I find really, really cool because it happened in front of me. So tell me, how are you guys applying that model in your current roles?
The model of being sponsors to women, or the model of being sponsors in general?
All three. Like making sure the woman the leader has a mentor, has a sponsor. What is the third point that you said?
Mentor, boss, mentor, and sponsor.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And I'll probably, Toshan's answer might differ significantly given the construct of large organizations, right? First of all, let me disclaimer this by saying, I don't think Bombay Shaving Company or Bombay or 100 Days, all the companies that we run, are even 3 on 10 on how good we can be or what we need to be, right? On making sure that we are creating the most fertile environment to create women leaders. I think there are certain natural headwinds because we started as a men's grooming company. So for us to even recruit or attract women at senior levels, junior levels was difficult. Consumer understanding was lower, etc. Sales heavy organization. So this is naturally certain headwinds to kind of make it work. But now we are at a certain scale where I think 2-3 things. One, we actively look for, not only in Bombay but even at a corporate level, we actively look for recruiting women across experience, age, educational qualification, independent of role. We actually look for bringing in, and especially for women. Like, so if we are looking for a chief marketing officer role for the company, we're looking for a role within Bombay for category. We are like, okay, fine, we have to keep our eyes out for this, right? Second is, we try to make sure, and that's the beauty of consumer product businesses, is there is cross-functional interdependence here, fairly severe, right? So a person in a mid-management to senior role will always have exposure by design. So we make sure that there are 3 to 4 senior people, women and men both, where if you are in the exposure group, you are part of the evaluation of the person every 6 months. And I think the third thing around sponsorship is that's where we struggle a lot for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is path to success is not well defined. So we try to take the sponsorship role as taking the woman or the person outside the company to say, Bombay Shaving Company is one of many things that are happening in your life. Okay. Mm-hmm. You need to think about, if you spend 3-4 years here, how much money will you make? What is your market value when you go outside? What kind of compensation can you make? If you are a mother, what does it mean for your children? What does it mean for your families? And for that role, that conversation, no one in the company by design can do it.
Yeah.
So identifying executive coaches who may be board members, where there is an agenda, but it is the person first, not the company first. So sponsorship discussions are always person first, not company first. That's where I assign, for example, Navneet Chahal, Rahul Chaudhary's wife. Yeah. She's a executive coach / sponsor for people because she will have a context of the company, but she'll put the person first. But again, like I said, we do 3 out of 10. We are
no, person first makes so much sense. So in fact, before I come to you, I just wanted to add a point, right? Seeing, correcting yourself when you know that it is an issue. Like inequality in the workspace is an issue. Most people around the world don't even think gender inequality is a thing. More than 60%. So I feel like professional, personal, I mean, you can't actually go to someone's house and say that, you're their family, you treat them like this, right? How do we treat that is something I want to come back to after, because there's some example that you had given me at some point. So, yes. But you tell me, how do you look at it at UPS?
Setting from a UPL standpoint, because we are in 138 countries, I have now seen this issue in different degrees. It happens everywhere, okay? But for example, in France or in Spain, 45% of the workforce will be women, okay? And that is a great number. In manufacturing, for example, in the plant, that ratio will be sub 10%. So there is context to it, because in certain countries, women, by the way, our global legal counsel is a woman, chief marketing officer is a woman. One of my very profitable businesses, the CEO is a Brazilian woman who's moved to France, and she runs a global business and she does it fantastically. Yeah. The head of our venture capital investments and M&A is a woman. Oh, wow. And at least what happens is, when other women see them be successful, there is hope. Okay, there is hope. Now, of course, we've created a women's network where women can share learnings, experiences, problems, issues, because it just, I think, women see somebody who's a role model and they feel more inspired, saying, I can also be like that, and they feel more comfortable sharing. But in a global context, I think there's good news and bad news. The good news is certain countries by definition are more ahead, because there is, every role that you are hiring for, the same thing is saying, is there a woman candidate? Now, taken to an extreme, it becomes like, don't just put a resume for the sake of a resume. Okay, we want to hire the best person, but we recognize that there may be unique
Yeah.
things there, and have we looked at that? But otherwise, people, there was this whole thing of saying, we hear that in many organizations, it's a diversity candidate.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so that means it's okay to be not as good, and women will be like really furious if you say, by the way, you are just a diversity candidate. It's such a slap.
Yeah.
So you have to be, and that's where the whole discussion, Shantanu, how do you sponsor somebody without making it, I'm mollycoddling you? Okay, you don't want to create achievers, whether it is men or women. You don't want to say, oh, we've given you a special playing field. No, the playing field is the same, but understanding the context becomes important.
Correct.
For the woman CEO, when she had to travel to, Australia for 7 days, it was because she has a small child, it was very amazing that the way she set up her meetings, even when I had to do calls with her, she said, no, this time I'm actually reading Harry Potter to my daughter. And she was reading Harry Potter from Australia and France, and Australia where she was, and the whole situation was like some 10 hours apart or 12 hours apart. So it worked out time zones wise. But she thought about it. By the way, then I have to also think about it, saying, if it was a different context, I would have said, no, my time is more important. But now when she's shared with me why she wants to do something differently, then I understand it. Otherwise, I would have said, no, but, let's do it in this time because I need to do 5 other things after that. But there's also the element of, you need to make sure that you create the environment where you can have that conversation. Because if I had not had that, I would have said, you are in Australia, I'm in London, this is the time which works. So, no, it's with my daughter. So that's the, in the field, for example, we also run spraying machines, where we had a whole thing of saying only men in the villages were operating this machine where you're spraying chemicals. We said, no, we want 1/3 of the workforce to be women. The kinds of challenges we had, people were like, हम बेटियों को बाहर नहीं भेजेंगे, बेटियों को गांव अपने घर से बाहर भेजेंगे, खेतों में तो क्या होगा? So you have all these खेतों में क्या क्या होता है kind of thing. Then just educating them and saying your daughter can actually earn income. Okay, do you want that income or not? So obviously you have to create the incentive, you have to educate the family, you have to make sure that there are safety, because people's izzat and गांव में खेत में जाएंगे, and they have to drive those machines, and women can drive. I mean, there's no this thing about it. The machines are big thing, but when you train a woman operator, she can do it. But the women, the girls, when they went out, they got so much confidence. They were bringing income back. Okay, and the parents were like, oh, अब बेटी कमाती भी है, and getting people in North India to really accept that a woman is not just तुम बैठे रहो, but खेतों में जाके spraying the machines, demonstrating the value of what happens if you spray perfectly well, your sustainability goals get achieved. It was fantastic, and those confidence of those women were like, wow, and then you feel really happy about it. But the context is not easy. It would have been very easy for us to scale up के लिए and to forget जिसको लेना ले आओ. But insisting that 33%, I think unless you set a target, nothing happens.
Completely agree. Like you have for your to-dos. If to-dos are there, Toshan's like, if to-do is there, it will get done. If it's not there,
then don't do.
That have to get done. To-dos have to become someone else's to-dos. That is Toshan Moda. I need to make sure someone is doing it. I don't care that
maybe somebody else. But see, because otherwise, how will it get done? To-do is there in somebody's mind. ये होना चाहिए. There was this whole thing of Rajiv Gandhi had this, हमें बुलंद भारत बनाना है. हमें बनाना है तो बनाना है तो बन जाएगा कभी तो किसको बनाना है हमें बनाना है.
Where are those hard to-dos?
मतलब किसको बनाना है हमें बनाना है ना. When it is our problem, it is nobody's problem. If it is your problem, then I know who to catch.
Like I'm thinking now, you put me in a kind of conundrum in terms of Bombay Shaving Company. Right? We have someone here, right? How do I make sure that over a period of time, you're progressing the success of people in the workplace, independent of background, measuring it the right way, and then making sure that success is success outside the company also. Because you tend
That's
to think
what family, personal. How do you know?
That's where you say unless you help, and that's where how do you understand the context unless you involve the family? Okay, because there may be specific situations which you as a corporate employer may not always be aware of. And then the question becomes, how do you do it in a very supportive manner? Because you also don't want to be too intrusive. You don't want to say, oh, but tell me, because she has to be successful, now let us...
Let's divide your time that you spend at home
because
chores.
the husband will be, hello, sorry, that is between me and I, we understand. So it is, but the uniqueness of the thought was there. And by the way, many MNCs, if you see Citibank, the CEO Jane Fraser, you see Sheryl Sandberg writes a lot about many of these things. See Leena Nair, okay, when she moved from, and I think, but she was the CHRO of Unilever. So she had a very good understanding of many of these topics. And then when she moves to be the CEO of the most eminent women, I don't know if Chanel is men also, but I think it's women.
It's predominantly women.
Predominantly women, right? So women fashion brand, I think her understanding, Diksha is like, itna bhi nahi pata, isko bhaga do.
You have perfumes is what I remember for males as well, for Chanel, but it is predominantly women.
I use deos, not okay. No, but so I think the understanding, because when as a woman she went to that path in levers, so as a CEO, then she really understands how to make some of these things work, and she talks about some of it very explicitly, because she came from a very humble background in Kolhapur, which is a place where close to Shantanu's Pune. So it's like Mumbai, Pune, Kolhapur. So Shantanu.
All the success coming from there.
This is not in any way. It's
hierarchical.
Actually, there's no hierarchy there. It's purely geography.
Possible. Maybe it's alphabetical also. BPK, no, it doesn't work that way. It's okay.
MP can on it.
No. B, I use Bombay. No.
तुम लोग अपना देख लो पहले.
But so I think the point being is that the struggles that are there at different stages are very different. And she said, I don't want somebody to have to prove extra to reach the same thing. But you need the organizational, institutional context to be supportive. It's a very fascinating thought process, and I don't think many people are yet aware of it. But I do think, by the way, Shantanu, because Bombay Shaving Company is in its 7-8 years, it's still early. But institutions which have been there for 50 years and all, they have to have cracked it. They have to have cracked it, and you definitely, because women are so critical part of it that you can't just say कि हुआ तो हुआ.
Yeah.
हुआ तो हुआ पे basis पे तो कुछ नहीं होगा. मतलब it just baseline, our average is very this thing. And the McKinsey study was like, we all campus recruitment teams were told 50% लेके आना है, कुछ भी करो. And they would go all out to meet their quota. But that 50%, then one level below it would become 35, 20, and then it would just peter out, because it was just natural as the life stage and choices would start coming out. And how do you make sure that that's not a norm? You can still choose it, but it should be the woman's choice.
Most people, and I'm repeating myself, but most people do not realize, like for example, if you go to UPL and you'll survey your male colleagues, most of them will not know that there is probably a pay gap. Maybe they are paid more than their counterparts who are females. Same thing with husbands, for example. They don't even realize that the female is spending 80% of her time in taking care of the kids while you're doing 20%. There is no, so I constantly think that how do you change? Like, is this an education thing? Is this because there's enough being talked about, and usme bhi it's people say that men are feeling what do you say, scared of this whole feminism movement that you're starting. They're saying कि यार ये hurt करेगा मेरे traditional masculinity को, and that is a fact. Like 70% maybe and more males think that.
I think my sense, and again with Shantanu, nothing you say is controversial, because he can do one up on that. Whatever you say controversial, Shantanu says, I'll make it more controversial.
I'm glad.
So I think there is because I also read a lot of anthropological things. So there was always this in a hunter-gatherer society, who could hunt. Okay, just being physically stronger, you said these males go and hunt. Okay, the females, whatever you get, you have to just cook it, do something, because it's not as if males. I don't think males could not do the cooking. The question was, if you sent more females out to hunt, the chances of them getting because of the physical nature. So there became this whole divide. And in today's day and age, there is no saber-tooth tiger, there is no this thing. But that same thing has stuck in the whole thing, and child rearing and so on. So I just think it has taken a lot of time to change it. And in many professions which didn't have that, like the same book, Ladies Can't Climb Ladders, there was a whole thing that men became barristers more than 200 years before the first woman was even allowed. And it was very interesting. So when the first woman put her application, you know what the council said? Show me a precedent. I was like, sorry, the reason for this application is there is nobody. He was like, no, but we cannot change an existing statute until there is a precedent. So it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of act of parliament and suffragette movements to even get some of the basics. So the question becomes, something was very easy, and whether it was and hunter-gatherer anthropological thing, it was through scriptures ingrained, because there is a lot of thing in, and I said I don't want to you can figure out where to cut, but some of the scriptures do mandate that there is a role by gender. And I think it was more in a very different context, where you said it is easy for somebody to do it, but it was not like meant to be you cannot, but that ease and convenience became, it is your role not to do this and it is your role to do this, and that has stayed. And I think what you are seeing is just a thing against it, saying, because women are saying we are no less, but why do you have to prove this? And that's what men are like suddenly saying, oh shit, that's.
My only counter there would be that things have evolved. I think at that point,
Agreed.
I mean, meat eating was better for your health, right? And today plant-based meat is better. I'm just saying
Or
that.
vegan.
Things have changed. Like things have evolved.
Yeah.
The climate we are living in has evolved. So I feel like that should evolve. I mean, typically.
It should evolve. And again, see, it starts from, if you look at, and I was 2 weeks back at a, couples, they got, they're pregnant, the lady's pregnant. And then people are like, oh, do you know, so that we can start getting toys and all accordingly. So like, you see that. No, it was more like saying, so if you know you're a boy, you will start getting certain things. Yeah. If you have a girl, you will start getting certain things. But why? I mean, from that stage itself, you are started to do it. You go into schools, you will see extracurricular. You will say, boys will have these 4 options, girls will have these 4 options. Some of them may be common, but most will be like, netball versus volleyball. You just think about it. Why can't girls play netball, volleyball? There's nothing to do with this. But you think girls will do this. Why? Your hands are saying, but you will see that in many. So right from that stage, you have said there is a segregation. Okay, there is a separation, there is a difference. Now, if you think of it that way, even where, I don't know if you had this, but it was like, when the birth is announced, if it's a boy, you have a laddu, and if it's a girl, you have a peda. So like, why does it matter? A sweet is a sweet is a sweet for a happy occasion.